Hi ho, King of the Vlog here. Welcome back to TR3 Wrench Time. No, this is Rad Savers. This is a special episode of Rad Savers State of the Radwood 2024. Yeah, this channel is supposed to be about a TR3 restoration, but things have kind of gone off the rails here. We've got a series called Rad Savers. We've been collecting cars from the 80s and 90s, and well, here they are. And believe it or not, this isn't even the full fleet. We're missing Mitch's E28, we're missing a Volkswagen Quantum, a Dodge pickup truck, and something else I am not allowed to tell you about just yet. We are sad that there is no RADWOOD event here in the Mid-Atlantic this year, but we're going to do the State of RADWOOD 2024 here at our shop and take you on a tour of what we have at the moment. Let's get into it.
Okay, starting from the longest car in the fleet to the newest, so stay tuned. But we start with the DeLorean DMC-12. I have had this car since 2003, way before I started this YouTube channel in 2020. It's a 1982 model. It came from Ohio. And it's got a little bit of a rusty bottom. But this car, to the best of my knowledge, has been titled and tagged and on the road since 1982. I have kept up with keeping it going, not really restoring this car, but kind of a rolling restoration. And on this channel, I have done everything from fixing the radio to taking the transmission apart and everything in between. Ended up actually doing a clutch job which resulted in a hole in the water jacket. If you want to see the saddest day that I've ever had at the shop, here is a link to that video. It's in the description. It's in a card. If you don't see that on the TV, then go into the description and you'll see it there. This car likes to beat me up. It's hard to work on. Actually, it's easy to work on, but every time I work on it, it hurts me, cuts me, breaks things, all of the above. This one is just a labor of love. This is my car, right? So I've had this car for 20 years, and I'm going to keep it. It is not for sale. I'm going to fix it up! Next up is the 1986 Dodge Ram D150, the workhorse of our shop. There hasn't been much work done on this truck because, frankly, it doesn't need it, and who cares? But it does quite a bit of work for us here at the shop. There is a video or a series of videos where I do some suspension updates and get it rigged for towing, because that is what we primarily use it for, that and going to the dump. And we make lots of dump runs because we can, and it's great. Anyway, we have this car trailer and we get ourselves into a lot of trouble going to pick up RADWOOD because we've got RADWOOD towing RADWOOD. Here we see the spare engine that came with the white car. Here's the white car in all of its original barn find glory. If you haven't checked out that series of videos, check it out. Barn Find Mark II. It was literally in a barn. It was fantastic. So anyway, we've got this car that we've fixed up and sent along its way, and we continue to use this pickup truck for things like that. And at the end of this video, we're going to show you the latest acquisition. Now, right here, if you can see in front of the truck, that is Mitch's E28. Only this is 2 years before Mitch had it. It was abandoned in our parking lot. That's where we found it. Okay, next up chronologically is the 528E that was abandoned in our parking lot, 1987. Jerome was the first one to buy it and persisted in getting the owner of the property to get us in contact with the owner of the car. Finally agreed to sell it, cleaned it up, and then he wanted to sell it. That's when Mitch bought it, and we decided to get it ready for RADWOOD Philly 2023, and we pretty much did a rolling restoration on this car, including a manual swap. So this is an M20 engine, a Getrag 260 went in it. If you want to see us do pretty much rolling restoration on this car, there's a great video on it. I'm going to link in the description and in the cards. Yes, we had the head off the car. Yes, we did a manual swap. Yes, we had the entire interior out of the car. Lots done on this car, including wheel bearings, lots of noise solving. Very, very much got into the weeds on this car. We got it done at the last minute, 7 hours before this moment here. We were still working on the car, but we made it to RADWOOD. Here we are pulling in next to the Acura, next to the Claude. There it is. If you know, you know. She's become part of the fleet now. We take her pretty much on all of our away missions. That's not true. We have several cars that we take on away missions. Coming up, we will talk about those. But one really cool thing that happened here during the Ferrari 308 on RCR, Mr. Regular had a drive in the 528. Yep, that's Mr. Regular right there, driving the 528E. Next up chronologically is the Ferrari 308 in Pinot Verde over tan. So this car came up for sale unexpectedly while I was unemployed. I bought it anyway. It was a non-runner. We had to go through the fuel system. We did the pump, we did the accumulator and the filters, a little more tinkering, and we were moving it under its own power within a week. Very cool. On this channel also got into the timing belts. So we replaced the timing belts on this car. They weren't very used, but they were quite old. So we went ahead and did that. A lot of the rubber underneath of the intake had the speedometer problem. Common problem with this is the sending unit here. We tried to fix this one. Didn't quite get it to work right, so ended up replacing it. But quite a few videos on this car with some minor repairs and upkeep on the car. We did the Birdman fuse upgrade. So if you have one of these cars or track these cars, this is a common upgrade that we do on these cars. This was a road trip to Kentucky for a Triumph car show. That car right there, I followed the build of it on YouTube. Chef Tush, I'll leave a link in the comments and on a card here, and I actually got to sit in it. It was really cool to sit in this car after watching it be built over the course of the better part of a year online. We turned the 308 into a Greyhound bus at one point just to transport my dogs up to a boarding facility. That was a lot of fun. The dogs got to ride in a Ferrari. I got to make a video. Lots of fun. And several drives we did with this car. This one around Virginia, the Skyline Drive area. This is US 211. Earlier in the year, we went around Anne Arundel County. You've seen us do this with several other groups of cars, but this one was special because it was the losers of World War II. Next up, we've got the two that came together, a 1990 BMW 325 convertible. This one came as an automatic. We made it a manual. At the same time, I got a 1992 Acura Legend. So my Tesla Model S had just been totaled. I decided that I wanted to drive RADWOOD full-time, and I went looking for a really nice example of an Acura Legend. And I always wanted one of these cars. They're really hard to find in this nice of shape these days, but found one and picked it up, and I've been driving it for just over a year now as my daily driver. Having both of these cars for just over a year, we've done tons of work on, well, both of them. The E30, we had to do the manual swap. We actually tried to do this in one day. That was a video. You can see us attempt to do a manual swap on an E30 in one day. We didn't. It took us about 3 weeks, which is kind of par for the course. Most of that, honestly, was ball urinareitis, and we suffer from that condition, well, more than most. But this is the third Getrag 260 M20 engine that we have done. 2 E30s and 1 E28. Once it was done though, man, what a great car. This car was meant to be a stick shift. On the Acura Legend, lots done on this car too, especially at the very beginning. We had to do a steering rack, we had to deal with some ABS pumps, but we got this car to RADWOOD 2023. Once we got it back though, driving it for a year, needed a few things, had to do the axles, we're about to do the brakes.
And this is a common one too, the clock spring. This is what controls the buttons on the steering wheel. So if that thing fails, then you lose the ability to turn the radio up and down, but more importantly, the cruise control stops working. Also, the airbag doesn't work, so I don't know if I trust airbags from this era anyway. This one's certainly one of my favorites. Next up chronologically is the 1986 Volkswagen Quantum station wagon. We found this in Utah, and I coordinated with a work trip out to San Diego to stop in Utah on the way home, pick this car up, and drive it across the country. Got it really for my dogs because I had 2 greyhounds at the time, and I did not have a vehicle that was appropriate for transporting 2 greyhounds. So, why not get some RADWOOD to do that? Always wanted one of these too. I've never seen a station wagon version of the Quantum. I have seen sedans, I've even driven sedans, but never a station wagon. Found this one, had a great trip back across the country, got to stop and see some family, got to do some field repairs. But of course, once we got it home, we had a little bit of work to do. Very typical with these cars, the odometer doesn't work. There's a little plastic gear in there that spins on a shaft, so we got to take that apart. Got that all back together, and then ended up having to redo a water pump, actually redo the timing belt because the water pump was actually leaking. So did a timing belt slash seal slash water pump on the Quantum, and then we have gotten into the suspension system. So the strut mounts were shot, we got all that taken care of, and now this one is back to standby for the winter status and continues to be the greyhound hauler. Good dog. And here's one of the latest acquisitions here at the TR3 Wrench channel, Mitch's 1993 Corvette C4. This one is also in green. Fantastic looking car. This is one of the bucket list cars on the channel, so Mitch has a 4 Corvette plan for success that we are currently embarking on. It involves garage building, so lots going on here at the TR3 Wrench Studios. We went up to take a look at this car, but, you know, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion it was coming home with us. We've done some repairs on this car, including the headlights, so stay tuned for that on Rad Savers. Just a very nice example of a C4. And here is the big reveal. The latest piece of RADWOOD to come to the TR3 Wrench shop is a 1985 original Ford Tempo with 19,000 original miles. This car is in really nice cosmetic shape. Unfortunately, it sat on some gravel for a couple of years and got some rust on the bottom. We've got to deal with that, but our objective is to have the nicest original Ford Tempo on YouTube. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Okay, my fellow RADWOODians, that is going to do it for the State of the RADWOOD 2024. The State of the RADWOOD is strong. Maybe a little bit too strong. Hey, let us know what you think about the quest for the nicest Ford Tempo on YouTube in the comments. We already know it's stupid, so you can skip that comment and give us something productive, or, I don't know, reinforce that it's stupid. That's fine. If you want to hang out with us, we're going to be up in the greater Philadelphia area next weekend, June 29th, at the RCR Car Meetup. I will probably be in the Acura, and Mitch will probably be in the Corvette. So let us know in the comments if you plan on going. This is the consolation prize for not having RADWOOD this year. So thanks to Brian for putting this on. Give us a chance to show off our RADWOOD vehicles without a RADWOOD event. If you're listening, Haggerty, come on, man. Come on. Hey, stay tuned after the horn blow for several honorable mentions. Not our cars, but cars that we see every day, our shop mates and some of our friends of shop mates that also have RADWOOD in our orbit. So that brings the total up to like 15 or something. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you next time.